بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our study of Qa'idatul Yad. And as you remember, in the end of last session, I mentioned what would be the next topic. The topic is Qa'idatul Yad, Aslun aw Amaratun, is the rule of al-Yad, which means the hand. Is it asl, means asla amali, a practical principle, or it is amara, which means something that helps us to understand the reality? Okay? So this is a big question. This discussion is to understand why Qa'idatul Yad is always given preference to istishab. If there is Qa'idatul Yad, of course, we will talk about it. Because istishab can always be there against, or at least in most of the cases, against Qa'idatul Yad. Because the person who has now Yad, means has control over this, say, house, the one who is using it and living it and has Yad over it, is not that necessarily from the beginning of building this house he was the owner. Maybe so far many people have owned and sold this house. If we want to say that istishab would be, overriding or would be given preference over Qa'idatul Yad, then we cannot apply Qa'idatul Yad. Because in most of cases, there is halat sabiqah, there is a previous condition which is known. So, the reason for discussing whether Qa'idatul Yad is aslun or amaratun is to know why Qa'idatul Yad is preferred over istishab. We want to know the point. Otherwise, there is ittifaq, there is consensus that Qa'idatul Yad is given preference. Is it clear? So basically, it's a kind of a scholarly discussion to understand why. Otherwise, we know that Qa'idatul Yad is preferred. Before we explain this, there is a reminder of what is asl, what is amara. We said asl is when you have doubt about something and there is no way to establish the primary real ruling, al-hukm al-awwali al-waqi'i. There is no ayah, there is no hadith, there is no intellectual argument. So you remain in doubt. But now we have a second type of rules and principles, and that is al-usul al-amaliyah. We cannot remain in doubt. We have to do something, because either this is wajib, or it's haram, or mustahab, or makruh, or mubah. Yeah? This is one of the 5 possibilities. If I say, I don't do anything, so maybe it is wajib. If you say, I do it, maybe it's haram. So there is no way for you to do, here something that you can be 100% sure. You need a practical solution. It's asla amali. I repeat again, this is a practical solution. This is not to help us understand what is the primary real rule. Okay? The ruling is in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we don't know, because we don't have ayah or hadith or qaidi aqli that helps us understand. But we want to understand, for example, we say, as long as there is no proof that it is haram, it is halal. Does it show that it is halal? Really? No. But we say, we just assume practically that it's okay to do it. Is it clear? But amara is the one that helps us to understand reality. Because amara means sign. Amara is tariqun, is a path to understand the reality. Like khabar wahid is amara. Okay? So, here, what should we do? Yes.
To understand hukm al-waqi.
Yeah. Al-hukm al-waqi is the ruling for any subject in its reality. For example, is human cloning in reality in Islamic Sharia permitted or not? If we have a hadith, if we have ayah, if we have something that helps us understand the real hukm, that is amara. But if we don't have amara and we say, okay, now we have to make a decision, we should tell people whether they should do it or not. And then you say, okay, as long as there is no proof that it is haram, we say, qa'idatul bara'ah. But you understand that this is not showing that this is really okay. When you say كل شيء لك حلال حتى تعرف أنه حرام, so practically it becomes halal, but it is different from having a hadith which says this is halal. Maybe this thing that through bara'ah you say it is halal, maybe it is indeed haram, but it has not reached us. We say, okay, it's halal unless it is proved otherwise. Is it clear? Okay, you are welcome. So we know that amara is given preference over istishab. But the question is, why? And Sheikh Irwani says, awalan, the first is that it seems Yad is amara. Why? Because the best dalil, the best proof for hujjiyah, for validity of qa'idatul yad is siratul uqala. As-siratul uqala'iyyah. The practice, the habit of rational, reasonable people. And we said, there are ahadith, we mentioned some ahadith, but we said they are just confirmation. They are endorsement of siratul uqala'iyyah. You remember? So, uqala, according to the author, consider yad amara, a sign for identifying the owner. Uqala are not only thinking of a practical solution. They assume that this is enough. You know, if it was a practical solution, then there should be a doubt and there should be a need for making decision, no way to establish it. But it seems that uqala assume that every person is the owner if he has yad, unless you can prove it otherwise. They don't remain in doubt. And they don't say, bring your sanad. They assume that this is okay, unless there is a challenge. Yes?
Is this what Sheikh Naini said as well? Was this his main argument, that if someone has something, you should assume that it's their ownership rather than assuming opposition? I think you mentioned something last week about Sheikh Naini.
This is what, this much everyone accept, but Salaam alaikum. What is not agreed on is whether uqala who accept qa'idatul yad accept it as amara or just asl. So because Shaykh al-Iraqi has said that uqala may sometimes refer to something in order to understand the reality, and sometimes they may refer to something as a just practical measure. Okay? This is exactly what Shaykh al-Iraqi means, Aghaziyah, Uddin al-Iraqi. Yeah? You know, Aghaziyah and Mirzai Naini, these are like the same generation. And these are both teachers of Ayatollah Khui, Aghaziyah and Sheikh Naini. And these are students of Akhund Khurasani, Sahib Kifaya. Aghaziyah Iraqi says, لأن العقلاء كما لهم أمور يرجعون إليها لكونها كاشفة عن الواقع كذلك لهم أمور يرجعون إليها عند استطار الواقع. He says عقلاء may sometimes want to understand the reality, may sometimes want to solve just the problem practically. But Sheikh Irwani says, no, it seems that most of the cases, uqala try to understand the reality, and they use the yad as a sign of ownership in reality, not as a sign of what I have to do. You know, asla amali is about what should I do when someone is showing control over something. But qadiyat means, no, he is really supposed to be the owner. Al-Ittihal, he says, even if we don't accept it is amara, if it is amara, okay, it's preceding istisab, very clear. Even if it is not amara, if suppose it's not amara, because the cases for qa'idiyat are smaller, they are part of istishab, we have to give preference to qa'idiyat, because otherwise nothing remains for it. We had this several times before, that whenever you have a rule that can only make sense if you give preference to it over another more general rule, we have to accept this rule as governing. Yeah? Because suppose you say, no, I don't give preference to qadi al-yad. Okay, you follow istishab. Then why this qaida was at all established? Almost, in all cases, there is istishab against it. So nothing remains for it. Okay, this is one point. The next point is a bit more difficult because it has many different options and conditions. The question is this: is qa'idatul yad applied only when we don't know the previous condition, or it can be applied even if we know the previous condition? In other words, is a requirement for qa'idatul yad al-jahlu bil halat as-sabiqah, not to know the previous condition, or even if we know, it's okay? For example, I see you live in this house. You are our neighbor, and since I have come to this neighborhood, you are living in this house. I don't know, you built the house, or someone else was the owner and you purchased. I don't know. I don't know halat sabiqah. I just know that at the moment you are the one who is using it and has control over it. Definitely here qaida al-yad can be applied. Yeah, because there is no muzahem, nothing to conflict. Is it clear? But what if I know that someone else was the owner? and then I traveled for 1 month, 2 months, and I come back and I see you in this home. I know the previous owner. Now I come back and I see you in the home. Can still we apply Qa'id al-Yad and say he has purchased the home, or we should stop judgment and say here Yad is not enough because it's known that was belonging to someone else. Maybe this person has rented it, not purchased, or maybe he has usurped and qasb has been done. So this is the question. So when there is jahl bil halat as-sabiqa, when you don't know the previous condition, it's very straightforward. But when we know, that's problematic. So the question is, اعتبار الجهل بالحالة السابقة في أمارية اليد. For قاعدة to be amara, which is valid, is needed to be applied when previous condition is unknown. Okay? Let us give you different shuquq, different options. Shuquq, you have heard shaqqul awwal, shaqqul thani means first type, second type, first option, second option. Okay? So, first, if the previous condition, okay, is that this person was using this as aman. For example, the last time I saw him driving this car, he said, this is car of my friend, and I am being given permission, so I am amin, I am trusted, and I can use it. So you were not the owner, you were not someone who had hired, you were not qasib, someone who had usurped, you were amin previously. So if I saw you yesterday with a car and you said, my friend has given me as aman, as a trust, and today I see this car, again, you are driving, and you say, it's my car. Can I say, okay, I accept that this is your car and I want to buy it from you? Or I cannot say this because I know that yesterday you said it was your friend's house, car. Okay? Of course, this is when there is doubt. If I am sure that you are honest and truthful, then that's not a problem. But the question is when you don't know person, okay, and someone says, yes. Or imagine, for example, you have a friend who has a driver who drives the car of your friend. Yeah? For example, your friend has his own car, or for example, government has the car. There is a driver without car. You know this, that this person is just driver without car. But the next day he says, now this car belongs to me and I want to sell it. I have taken this from the owner, or the government has given me this car. He wants to sell you. What should you do? This is the question. Yes?
It's, you have to ask him or about information about the ownership.
Yeah.
We have to ask him.
Yeah, he says, I am the owner.
Okay.
Is it enough that he says, I am the owner?
That's fine.
If we don't know halat sabiqa, yes. But someone comes to the market and says, this is mine, and we buy it. But if we know that this was for someone else, and now this person has brought it to market and said it's mine, but I know that yesterday was someone else's, can I buy from him or no? I should stop. Yes.
But you would ask for the title deeds and the ownership.
Yeah. No, he doesn't have any document. Just if he has document, of course we look into the document. But he has no document, just based on Yad. Many times we use Yad, but the question is, if it conflicts with previous knowledge. What should we do? Yes.
Let's say you didn't have previous knowledge. How liable are you for investigating the situation? As in, do you have to do it? Or
No.
you have to?
Yeah, when you go to any shop, you don't ask for, show me the documents. Yeah. When a taxi comes, to take you somewhere, you don't say, show me that you have the right to drive this taxi.
In this country, there is certain permits and licenses required.
No.
When you buy a car, you look at the logbook before you purchase it.
Yeah.
So when you buy a can of soda,
When you want to put it into your name, yes. But now, for example, this taxi driver who comes to your home, you don't say, show me your license. The license should be available, but we assume that it's okay. We go to shop, we don't say, show me that this is your shop, or these goods belong to you. Okay? If everything is normal, yes. But if there is a previous condition, that brings doubt. The previous condition. So, the first option is أن تكون اليد سابقا يدا أمانية أو قصبية. It was amana, we know, or qasb was usurped. أو يد إجارة, it was rent, or something like that. Means not ownership. We know that either it was given as a trust, as a rent, or whatever, but no ownership. ثم احتمل تحولها إلى يد ملك. Then there is a possibility that maybe now he has purchased it. I know that he didn't used to be the owner, but now maybe he's the owner. So, this is one possibility. Maybe he has purchased it. Another possibility is that you know that this house was waqf. Everyone in this neighborhood knew that this house was waqf. Yeah, it was a kind of endowment. No one could own it. It was for certain purposes defined and dedicated. But you say maybe something happened that waqf was cancelled and they had to sell this. And this person then went and purchased it. So if you see someone living in a house that you know that used to be waqf, and you don't know whether waqf is cancelled or not, what should you do? And even here, there are different possibilities. Sometimes you don't know that what has been the case before. Sometimes you know and you doubt. So there are different possibilities. He says, in general, he says something that I think you remember from usul, when we had usul. We said whenever we have dalil aqli, or in more general way dalil lubbi, because we said we have dalil lafzi, dalil lubbi. Lafzi means linguistic. There is a text. When there is a text and there is doubt, you can use umum and itlaq. Either umum or itlaq to say this text with its umum or itlaq includes this case which is doubt, in dubious. For text, there is umum and itlaq. But for dalil al-lubbi, like dalil aqli, there is no umum and itlaq. You should always limit yourself with what is certainly included. Al-qadarul mutayaqqan. So whenever you have dalil al-lafzi, look for umum and itlaq. If there is umum or itlaq, you are very, comfortable. Because anything that falls under that category, you can say umum or itlaq includes it. But whenever there is dalil aqli and you doubt whether something is included or not, you have to stop. Because dalil aqli can be applied only as much as you are sure. And the reason is clear. Because if this dalil aqli, my aql should be clear. Aql cannot be in doubt. If there is no clear guidance from aql, it means that you have to stop the judgment. So we say, because the main dalil for qa'idatul yad is as-siratul uqala'iyya. Although we have hadith, we said these hadiths have no umum and itlaq, and these are just emphasis. So the main dalil is as-siratul uqala'iyya. As-siratul uqala'iyya has no umum and itlaq. It is lobby, and we should only go for qadar mutayaqqan, for what is definitely included. So, when we don't know halat al-sabiq, we know that certainly uqala apply qa'idiyat. When we know halat al-sabiq, if you doubt uqala do this or not, you should stop. It seems to us that uqala, if they know halat al-sabiq, they would make investigation. They would not easily accept. Another question is, what about trusting documents? Someone has the deed or document. We say, yes. If the one who has yad has document also, then we don't bother about the previous condition. Or if someone has yad but another person who claims has documents and can prove, not fake document, real document, he can prove, no problem. Because all these discussions is when we have doubts. If you can establish the reality, if the judge can establish the reality through documents, through evidence, we go by it. Otherwise, we have the person who has hand, who has control over it, and we have someone who comes, an outsider, and claims. We say, who is mudda'i? The one who claims is the outsider. Al-bayyinatu ala al-mudda'i. If someone says, the house that you live in is mine, we ask him for bayyana. We don't ask the person who lives in the house, bring bayyana. Because this makes life miserable. Someone comes and says, this is my house, so he has to go every day to court. That this is my home, this is my home. Yeah? Those who claim that they own something that they don't live in it, they don't have yad over it, they have to bring bayyana. Okay? But if there is sanad and document to prove, then that's not a problem.
Can I?
Yes.
I think this was what was used by Mu'ali as an argument with the Fadak.
Yeah, we come to that, inshallah. Then another discussion is, what should we do with respect to cases that there is a counter situation, a counter like argument. For example, إذا كان شخص يسكن دارا, he used to live in a house. وكانت تحت يده وتصرفه, and this house was under his control and his use. We said his hand is amara, if we don't know halat sabiqa. Okay? But if we know, what should we do? For example, he says, I mentioned some of the problematic cases. Suppose there is someone that claims that he owns this house. He says, this person that you knew that was the owner sold it to me. I don't deny that he was the owner, but he sold it to me. What should you do? The answer is, we ask him for bayyana. We say, it doesn't solve the problem for you that you say he was the owner. Okay, that part is okay. But you have to prove that. Sometimes people try to be clever. They have one big false claim. In order to convince you, they give you lots of true news. Yeah. And then in this way, you trust them. So, everything he says, I know it's true. But you have to be clever. Every claim has to be verified by itself. Not because he has already said, Sometimes there is evidence that this house was owned by someone other than the one who has hand now. And that hujjah does not show that it has been transferred. So it's not that we have a document that shows, because in some countries you have document or deed that shows all the owners from the beginning. And sometimes either they showed only the current owner, like for car here, they show only the current owner. Or maybe someone has an old document that shows that in 5 years ago, that person was owner, but doesn't show it now. So there is no full list of the owners from the beginning up to now that we can be sure. Just we know that someone owned it before, other than the one who has yad now. Okay? So, here what should we do? We say, if the one who is now having yad, if he can bring some evidence, we accept. Otherwise, because there is previous condition which is known, we cannot accept that he has yad. I mean, we cannot accept that his yad is valid. He has yad, but we cannot accept that his yad is valid. Because maybe uqala say every person can, for example, suppose a thief goes when someone is traveling, opens the door, and puts the light on and says, I am the owner, and sells the house. If you don't know that this belongs to someone else, yes. But if you knew, then... In any case, what is important is that uqala respect yad, consider yad as a sign for ownership, but you have to only be following this qaida when you are 100% sure that uqala would apply it. If there is any case that you doubt, you stop. You don't use qaida yad, you try to find other documents or other ways. Now a question comes, about the story of Fadak. Okay? According to Ihtijaj Tabarsi and some other books, even we have this in Sharh Ibn Abil Hadid, the story of Fadak is like this. فقال أبو بكر هذا فيء المسلمين. He said, this Fadak, this garden, is something that belongs to all Muslimin, because this is a property which God gave Muslimin, okay, and it becomes public money. هذا فيء المسلمين فإن أقامت or أقمت, there's a mistake in the spelling, إن أقمت شهودا أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله جعله لها, if you can bring witnesses that Rasulullah gave this to Fatima salamullah alayha, okay. وَإِلَّا فَلَا حَقَّ لَهَا فِي, if you cannot bring shuhud and witnesses, she has no right, because this was his logic, because we know that this was owned by other people. Then Muslims were granted this, and Rasulullah gave it to Fatima. Maybe Rasulullah gave it temporarily. You cannot use Qa'idatul Yad to prove that she was the owner. You have to bring witnesses. Okay? This is what is in this text. فقال أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام, Amir al-Mu'minin عليه السلام said, أتحكم فينا بخلاف حكم الله في المسلمين. Do you judge among us in a way which is different from the way that Allah judges about such cases between Muslimin? When Muslimin have a dispute over a garden or a property, what should be done? What is the ruling of Sharia? So, أتحكم فينا بخلاف حكم الله في المسلمين. The Khalifa said, no, la. Then, after establishing this, Imam Ali said, okay, so if we are considering this as a normal case between Muslimin, what should we do? إن كان في يد المسلمين شيء يملكونه. If any Muslim has something in his yad that he owns it, ثم ادعيت أنا فيه, and then I go and claim that this is mine, من تسأل البينة, from whom you request and ask to bring witnesses? The one who has yad, or from me that I claim? قال إياك أسأل البينة. I will only ask you to bring bayyana. Then Imam Ali said, according to this hadith, this text, فما بال فاطمة سألتها البينة على ما في يدها وقد ملكته في حياة رسول الله وبعده. So then what is the reason that when it comes to Lady Fatima, you ask her to bring bayyana, while she has her hand over this, she has control over it, and Rasulullah had given her this, so she owned it in the time of Rasulullah, and after Rasulullah till today, she owned it. She was the owner of this place. So why you ask Fatima for bayyana وَلَمْ تَسْأَلِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ بَيِّنَةً عَلَى مَا ادَّعَوْا شُهُودًا كَمَا سَأَلْتَنِي عَلَى مَا ادَّعَيْتُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Why you don't ask those people who say, because you say this is for Muslimin, so why you don't ask Muslimin to bring bayyana, as when I ask you if someone is in charge of something and I claim, you said you ask me for bayyana, yeah? I am mudda'i, I should bring bayyana. So now you say Muslimin own fadak. Why you don't ask those Muslimin who say we own it that they should bring bayyana? Okay? فَسَكَتَ Abu Bakr, the first caliph, remained silent, and then the second caliph said, Ya Ali, da'na min kalamik. Means like, leave us, don't speak more. فَإِنَّا لَا نَقْوَى عَلَى حُجَّتِكَ. We cannot argue with you. So don't, discuss. فَإِنْ أَتَيْتَ بِالشُّهُودٍ عُدُولٍ وَإِلَّا فَهُوَ فَيْءٌ لِلْمُسْلِمِ. He said, we cannot discuss with you, we cannot argue with you. Either you bring just and righteous witnesses, or فَهُوَ فَيْءٌ لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. Otherwise, we give it to the Muslimin. لا حق لك ولا لفاطمة في. Neither you nor Fatima have any right over this. So, this is the question. إن زهرة سلام الله عليها كانت تعترف بأن فدكا كانت للنبي. The question is this. Lady Fatima herself was acknowledging that this was not for her from the beginning. This was something for the Prophet. Okay? So we know the previous condition, that it was for the Prophet. And Lady Fatima says that this has been transferred to her by the Prophet. Okay? So, someone may say, then because she admits that this was owned by the Prophet and claims that it has been transferred to her by the Prophet, she has to bring bayyana. If someone asks this question, what should we do? Is it something like what we said, that qa'idatul yad cannot be applied when we know halat sabiqah, or it can be applied? There is a very long discussion here, and briefly the answer is this, or at least one answer is this, that everyone knew that Rasulullah gave this to Lady Fatima. It's not that no one was aware of this and all of a sudden Lady Fatima came and claimed that this is mine. Everyone knew that this is for Lady Fatima, and also they knew that this was not something that was temporary. In other words, she was acting as Malik, as an owner. There's a big difference. Sometimes you know that I am a tenant here, and I claim I am the owner. It's a problem. But you know that, for example, I take this home, and you see I am acting not as a tenant. I am refurbishing, I am changing everything, I am making extension, all these things I am doing. I am going to the city council, I am doing all these things. You realize that this person is owner. It's more than just someone who has been given right of use for a period of time. So, the ownership of Lady Fatima was established in the time of the Prophet. As you remember, look at what Imam Ali said. سألتها البينة على ما في يدها وقد ملكته. So it was not just yad. She was owner, and they knew that she's owner. Now you are starting everything from beginning. This was established that she was owner. ملكته في حياة رسول الله وبعده. You understand? You know, this is like what? There is a house, okay, that you know I own it. Everyone in the neighborhood knows that I'm owning this house for last 10 years, for example. You know that. Then all of a sudden a person comes and says, you don't own this house. I am the, for example, previous owner, and I own this house. After 10 years that I am living here and everyone knows I'm owner, he comes and says, I am the owner. So whom do you ask for bayyana? This person who comes after my ownership is established. So you see, it's not just a matter of yad. It's a matter of her history of acting as owner in the time of the Prophet and after the Prophet up to that date. Therefore here, anyone who claims that she didn't own has to bring the evidence. Another question. What do we mean by yad? Does it necessarily need to be seizing or taking and holding with your hand, like a mobile, a pen, a book? Is it necessary that, or it can be something different? You say it doesn't need to be necessarily by hand. For example, a car. You cannot hold the car in your hand. Yeah? So when we say yad, it's not only holding something with hand. There must be a control, but also not any control. For example, head of a state may be able to control any piece of land. But we don't say he has yad. It's a control plus using as an owner. Yeah? Otherwise, head of a state, can go any place and take that land, for example. Or any government can go and take a land. But this is not yad. Yad is not only potential control. Yad is actual control and use. Okay, it's clear? So he says, لا يبعد أن تكون اليد عبارة عن تصرف الشخص في شيء. There must be tasarruf. Tasarruf means you use it, you do something with it. ووقوعه في حوزته. Hawza doesn't mean hawza ilmiya. Hawza means under his hiyaza, means he has ability to control it and protect it. Another question is yad only for ayn or for manfa'ah as well? Ayn means a property, an object. For example, a home, the ownership for home. Manfa'ah is the right for using. The right for using. For example, we know that you are not the owner. Can yad be used to prove that you are musta'jir, you are the tenant? We know owner is someone else. Can we use qa'idatul yad to establish also who has the right of tenancy? Or it is only a matter of ownership? This is a question. Again, he brings the same idea that because this is based on Siri uqala, if you have doubt, like here, you cannot establish qa'idiyat. So we have doubt, according to him, that qa'idatul yad can be used for establishing manfa'ah, the right for benefiting, the right for use. Therefore, we cannot use qa'idiyat except for ayn, for the property itself, for the ownership. Another question.
About the tenancy, can take the manfaat from the house.
Tenant can use, but the question is, can we use, someone, for example, is using a flat, okay? And then he wants to give it as a rent to someone else. He says, I'm not the owner, but he says, I have the right for tenancy. I want to sell it to you. Can we accept this? Or we say, because we know he's not the owner, we have to ask for documents. If uqala accept, we can accept. But if we have doubt, we cannot. We say, no, let us investigate here. Because you are not the owner, you are just the tenant. So your yad is not complete yad. Salaam alaikum. Let me say a few more minutes and we will finish the whole Qa'idiyat and first volume of the book. So just bear with me, just 2-3 minutes. Another question is, can you use Qa'idiyat for yourself? For example, you go home and you find 10 pounds note on your carpet. It's in your home, your carpet. Can you say, it's mine? We say, if it's in a place that only you use and you have doubt, you can use it. If you know that it's not yours, no. But for example, it's in your pocket, you don't remember, but it's your pocket, no one else puts money in your pocket. Or you have a sanduq, a box, and only you use this box. And there is a money, you don't remember, you put it. But there is possibility. If you know that it is not yours, you cannot use it. But if there is a doubt, and this is only used by you, you can use it. But if other people also use it, then that's a problem. There is a Sahih here, Sahih Jamil ibn Saleh. He says, قُلْتُ لَأَبِي عَبْدِ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. I told Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, رَجُلٌ وَجَدَ فِي مَنْزِلِهِ دِينَارًا. A person has found in his home a golden coin, dinar, golden coin. Imam asked, يَدْخُلُ مَنْزِلَهُ غَيْرُهُ. Other people also go to his home. قُلْتُ نَعَمْ كَثِيرٌ. Many people go. For example, in his home, he has majlis. Many people go there for majlis. Now after majlis, this dinar is found. So he said, نَعَمْ كَثِيرٌ. Many people go. Imam said, هَذَا لُقَطَةٌ. So this is like something you find on the street. Okay? There are certain rulings for something that you find on the street. قُلْتُ فَرَجُلٌ وَجَدَ فِي صَنْدُوقِهِ دِينَارًا. he has a special box, okay, on his safe, in his box, he finds golden coin. Imam said, يدخل أحد يده في صندوقه غيره أو يضع فيها شيئا. Is anyone other than him put something inside this box and taking? قلت لا. He said, I said no. Then Imam said, فهو له. It's for him. So, قاعدة can be used for yourself also, but provided that there is only you who has been using that place. Yeah, if other people also use, you cannot apply قاعدة even if you own it. It's your sanduq, but other people also may put things and take it from it. So, alhamdulillah, we finished Qa'idatul Yad, and in this way we finished the first volume of the book. Inshallah, we carry on with the second volume and other jurisprudential rules. Inshallah, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin.